siamo al terzo meeting del VMUG, volevo fare un brevissimo riassunto, siamo a un anno di attività praticamente, forse siamo partiti proprio così un po' a carbonara e con la volta abbiamo così aumentato anche i nostri skill nell'organizzare questo tipo di meeting, pure altre attività che stiamo ancora seguendo. Chi ci segue da un po' sa che siamo partiti anche con la parte di comunicazione come abbiamo potuto, per cui siamo partiti con un gruppo LinkedIn, poi siamo partiti con il nostro sito VMUGIT, poi siamo partiti sicuramente anche sul forum della community ufficiale di VMware e abbiamo cercato poi nel tempo di dare un pochino più di coerenza anche alle comunicazioni, soprattutto poi su Twitter, sempre che romper le balle, quindi se ci cercate ci trovate tutti i giorni. Una menzione particolare per il forum della community che è gestito praticamente da due che vanno citati, sono Andrea e Luca, che praticamente fanno un supporto H24, una domanda in 2 secondi avete la risposta, e quindi sono veramente...
Devo segnalare a Andrea che Gazza ha scritto 10 minuti fa che
sta rispondendo, Andrea sta rispondendo in questo momento, molto probabilmente, perché H24 veramente c'è questa cosa. No, la comunicazione in realtà è questa, che proprio l'altro giorno il VMUGIT Porters ha ufficializzato finalmente invece il lancio del nuovo workspace su vmug.com/Italy e dovremo andare a raccogliere mano a mano lì tutta la parte di comunicazione, per cui con le slide degli eventi, con il forum nuovo, con il polling, con il blog e quant'altro, quindi andateci, ci sarà un periodo di rodaggio, un attimo dobbiamo capire anche noi un po' come funziona, però insomma quello diventerà poi il canale prevalente ufficiale da cui vi coinvolgeremo anche per le prossime attività. Invece arriviamo al nostro ospite, Steve, che con un'operazione di intelligence abbiamo anche un pianamento. A Copenaghen lo scorso ottobre abbiamo incontrato durante il pranzo dei VMUG e quando abbiamo saputo che per caso forse in primavera poteva essere in Italia, in zona di Trento, ho detto ma potrebbe essere che organizziamo un evento, proprio in primavera, proprio da quelle parti. È un caso, E quindi niente, Steve è stato gentilissimo, ci ha risposto all'istante proprio nei giorni scorsi alle nostre richieste e qui oggi ci parlerà dell'avanzamento novità sul piano tecnologico di VMware, quindi a questo punto lascio la parola a lui perché sto crollando. Steve, so it's up to you. Thanks again for being here today and in time off for your vacation, and of course we're very excited to have you here.
Okay, thank you. È un piacere essere qui. Capisco italiano ma non parlo bene. Mia moglie è di Frascati e mio cugino è in Trento, Fondazione Bruno Kessler, tecnologica. So I'll speak to English, but if you have questions, we can translate as well. So I enjoy coming to VMUG often. I like to see the rivalry between Italy and the Dutch. And I thought I would just share a little bit more about what we're doing, and then definitely have some questions with PJ on anything that you'd like to talk about. So I will share some things that are not public also, so you have to keep it quiet. But you can talk about this anywhere you like. Okay, put it here. So first, I'm not sure if you've seen some of the latest numbers, but it's quite exciting right now. So there are more than, according to the latest analyst estimates, there are more than 55% of all servers anywhere are now virtualized. So very large numbers. But these are the fun numbers. So right now, you can't see very well, but we estimate a new virtual machine is powered on or created every 6 seconds, which is the birth rate in the US. So quite a lot of new virtual machines coming on. What's also exciting is that we now have, even on just the paid products, we have 20 million virtual machines in existence. So 20 million alive right now, many more if you include ESXi and the free versions. And this is my favorite. There's a vMotion 5.5 happening every second. And I was told that that's the number of airplanes that are in the sky at any given moment. so very active. But more importantly, what's happening is the number of people being trained, like many of you here, is growing quite a bit. And that's because of the job demand and a lot of the transitions that are occurring. And one thing that I focus on quite a bit too is working with our ISVs, the software vendors, to make sure that their software obviously runs and is supported, but increasingly they're customizing software for running on top of vSphere. And I'll share a little bit about that as we go forward. So I thought I would start with a fun picture. This is really what Paul Moritz gets up and tells us every single day. And it is about where we are today and about where things are headed as we go forward. So my job as CTO is to make sure that our products are the correct products 3 years from now. So it takes a while to find out if I'm wrong, which is good. But we really need to make sure that we are following the trends that are occurring. So most of you know this, but if you go from today's IT infrastructure to tomorrow, it's kind of obvious that things are moving towards more virtualization, more cloud. But what's also very interesting is how people change how they're working with their applications and their desktops as well. So today I want to spend more time on our desktop transitions and Project Octopus and App Blast, some of these terms you might have heard about. And I'll definitely answer a lot of questions on what we're doing in those areas. But what I prefer is to talk about what's happening at the company level. So I had fun with PowerPoint. You'll have to forgive me. But, the way that I meet most customers who have IT organizations around the world, they're facing something like this. That's a CIO. So as you know, traditionally, the business owners, people working in the company, have had to buy everything from their IT department. It was the only place that they could get servers or desktops or applications. But what I really think about is that the world of the cloud computing model has opened up the opportunity for things like software as a service. Certainly some places public cloud is very interesting, and increasingly discussions of platform as a service. These are new services not owned by IT, but they're very alluring. That's a pretty good picture, right? So the issue is that the money is now flowing and the attention is now flowing not only to their own IT department, but also to vendors outside of IT. And that's certainly it's a way to get things done, but it's also quite a challenge for anyone who runs an IT department, who's responsible for security or is responsible for data, certifications. So really when I go out and meet with customers right now, I talk about the role of IT changing from a world where IT owned everything, really to where IT is a broker. You know, IT is the one that you go through, but you're still able to get services that run in your data center, or you could use your IT department to let you get to outside things. So this certainly applies for things like infrastructure as a service from a public cloud. It also applies for devices though, and I think everyone sees this quite a bit right now. They also want to be able to go out and buy different devices, but have IT help them work within their own environment. So I really talk about this as, at a very top level, how IT is going to change from being the one that builds everything to one that certainly builds and runs a lot of the infrastructure, but also brokers access other places. And this is really, as we talk about Horizon and vCloud Director, all of these are around helping them manage this split of where things are running. So I like the t-shirt as well. That's a VMUG t-shirt. So the real question is, how do I do this? What is the real notion here? And so really the focus from VMware over the last 13 years has been shipping originally products, but increasingly folks like Massimo and others are really focusing on the overall transition. How do you actually build clouds and how do you change even the organization of IT to be prepared for this? And it's a very big change going on. So I thought I would just go through a few examples here and then go into the priorities for the different product groups within VMware. But I always like to start with Ducati as obviously a favorite Italian company doing this. But also what's very exciting about Ducati is relatively small compared to Suzuki and Honda and the very big motorcycle makers. But they've actually really been able to move quickly into virtualization and have, as a result, been able to compete with the bigger Japanese companies and others using IT as a weapon. And ultimately, that is what I think everyone should be looking for. IT shouldn't just be a cost center. It shouldn't be that group that you don't want to ever call. They should actually be a group that adds value and helps you compete. And so, again, a very quick movement to 98% virtualized in 2 years, which I always use this as an example to companies that haven't started yet to really show them how to get going.